Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. First of all, my name is Muhammad Haikal bin Tajuddin and we are from Group 11 would like to present about our topic which is intellectual jihad, Quran and Hadith perspective. So for my turn, I would like to share and explain about the concept of jihad in general. I'm also will explain in this video what does it mean by intellectual jihad. Before that, as a Muslim, we must know about this topic because jihad and Islam have a wide connection since the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam until now. So, by knowing and practicing jihad, of course we are able to realize the dream of becoming a successful Muslim in this world and the hereafter. Among the examples of acts of jihad that I can give are like defending ourselves from danger, restraining lust from committing immorality, studying diligently, and many more. Firstly, what is the concept of jihad in general? Jihad is an Arabic term that means struggle or striving. According to Arabic dictionaries, jihad derived from the word jihada, which has many meanings such as to make an effort, to struggle, to defend the faith, to protect ourselves and our family, to become better, and many more. It also can refer to the effort to live a good life according to the teachings of the religion. Furthermore, jihad can be broadly understood in two types. Number one is greater jihad, which is in Arabic we call it as jihadul akbar. The greater jihad is the struggle against the lower self. For examples, the struggle to purify one's heart, do good, avoid do anything evil, and make oneself a better person. For this jihad, we call it as a jihad of the highest order. Furthermore, Islam already asks us to perform greater jihad, which is in Surah Al-Furqan, A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim, fala tuti'il kafirina wajahidhum bihi jihadan kabira. So, as a student, I think for us to be excellent student in both academic and religion, we need to apply the concept of greater jihad in our daily life. For example, start our morning by getting up early in the morning. Always do good and leave evil, and most importantly, try to be the best in the coming days. Other than that, we also must know about lesser jihad, which is we call it as jihadul asghar. This refers to the external physical struggle or effort in defense of Islam. Other than that, we also can conclude that lesser jihad is fighting in self-defense against an enemy that has initiated an attack. For this jihad, we call it as a jihad of the lower order. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also state this jihad in Al-Quran, which is in Surah Al-Baqarah. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Kutiba alaikumul qitalu wa huwa kurhul lakum wa 'asa an takrahu shay'an wa huwa khairul lakum wa 'asa an tuhibbu shay'an wa huwa sharrul lakum wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta'lamun. And also in Surah At-Taubah, infiru khifafan wa thiqalan wajahidu bi amwalikum wa anfusikum fi sabilillah. And now I would like to explain and share about intellectual jihad. What does it mean by intellectual jihad? Intellectual jihad refers to the use of knowledge, education or intellectual efforts to defend, explain and spread the teachings of Islam. So, for this jihad, it also has been happening for a long time in the history of human life. For example, we can take the story between Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Jibril in Hira cave, which is in that story Jibril teach Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to read Iqra, and on that same day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the first verse of the Quran, which is in Surah Al-Alaq verse 1 until 5. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, khalaqal insana min 'alaq, iqra wa rabbukal akram, allazi 'allama bil qalam, 'allamal insana ma lam ya'lam. Sadaqallahul azim. And what I can relate this story to intellectual jihad is that this story is a call to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to read and spread knowledge, and it give an indication that Islam emphasizes knowledge as the basis of life. Therefore, we also know that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam facing opposition to spread Islam. So, after receiving the first revelation, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through many great challenges in delivering the message of Islam. One of the main challenge is facing the Quraysh who oppose Islamic teachings. This is where the concept of intellectual jihad can be seen when the Prophet uses clear arguments based on the revelation and received knowledge to guide the community out of ignorance and idolatry to faith in God Almighty. As a conclusion, we can understand that intellectual jihad is very important for Muslim. It is important for us as Muslim to seek knowledge so that our life are always on the straight path, whether in this world or the hereafter. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hakimi bin Nur Azam and my metric number is 2312023. So, today I will present about how can we perform intellectual jihad and how people in the past perform intellectual jihad. So, first thing first, intellectual jihad is the pursuit of knowledge and the application of that knowledge itself to improve oneself and society. It's a commitment to seeking truth and questioning existing narrative and using intellect as a means to contribute positively to the world. So, first thing, how can we perform intellectual jihad? Is by constant pursuit of knowledge. The first step in performing intellectual jihad today is to make a habit of continually seeking knowledge. This pursuit should not be confined to formal education, but should also include self-study, exploration, and curiosity. So in today's world, knowledge is abundant, truth, books, online resource, and interaction with others. But the challenge lies in making lifelong commitment to learning. So this means being open to learning not just from established source but also from different disciplines and perspective. Intellectual jihad encourage the idea that knowledge isn't just about acquiring facts, but it's about cultivating wisdom and understanding. So we should aim to constantly expand our horizons and never stop learning, whether it's through formal degrees, online course, or simply exploring new ideas in everyday in our life. So, second way is by critical thinking. So, critical thinking is another essential component in today's information age, where we are bombarded by all kind of information, much of it conflicting our bias. So intellectual jihad calls for a deep analytical approach to what we encounter. It's not enough to accept ideas without questioning them. To practice critical thinking, we must ask ourselves questions like, what evidence support this claim, like that, or who is making this argument and what's their motive, like that, and are there bias at play? Critical thinking isn't just about being skeptical. It's about understanding different viewpoints and using reason to arrive at well-founded conclusion. So next, how can we perform intellectual jihad? It's by sharing knowledge. The next step is to share the knowledge we gain. Intellectual jihad is not a solitary activity, but one that thrives when knowledge disseminates. Whether we teach formally, engage in discussion, write articles, or share insight on social media, sharing knowledge elevates the collective intellectual capacity of society. So through sharing, we contribute to the betterment of others, encouraging a culture of inquiry and mutual learning. This can take many forms from mentoring others to simply being part of truthful, constructive conversations. So, in this way, we not only grow ourselves but help elevate those around us, fostering a more enlightened and truthful community. So, the last way is by personal improvement. Finally, intellectual jihad involves applying knowledge to improve ourselves. It's one thing to know what is right or good, but it's another to apply it to one's own life. Intellectual jihad calls for self-discipline, ethical behavior, and a commitment to personal growth. By aligning our actions with our knowledge, we can make a positive impact on our communities. Personal improvement isn't just about intellectual development. Truth, it also involves improving our emotional intelligence, social skill, and character. When we apply our knowledge in this holistic way, we become better individuals contributing to growth and well-being of society. So, next, I will present about how people in the past perform intellectual jihad. Now, let's turn to the past and see how intellectual jihad was practiced, especially during the Islamic Golden Age, a period from 8th to 14th century known for its remarkable intellectual and scientific achievement. Firstly, by philosophical and rational development. Thinkers like Ibn Sina and Ibn Rushd worked to reconcile Greek philosophy with Islamic teaching. They strive to use reason as a tool for understanding religious texts, emphasizing that faith and intellect could complement each other, thus challenging ignorance and dogmatism. Secondly is by preservation and dissemination of knowledge. During the Abbasid era, scholars translate important works from Greek, Persian, and Indian sources into Arabic. This translation movement was crucial for preserving and spreading knowledge across the Islamic world. So institutions like the House of Wisdom in Baghdad become centers for learning where ideas were exchanged, further advancing science, medicine, and philosophy. So next, theological debate and legal reasoning, yakni ijtihad. So scholars like Al-Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah contribute to Islamic truth by engaging in theological debates to defend orthodox belief and responding to challenge from philosophy and other ideologies. They also use ijtihad to adapt Islamic law to new circumstance, helping to address issues that arose as society changed. Each of these methods represent a way in which intellectual jihad was about engaging with and challenging the intellectual and ideological currents of the time. It's important to understand that intellectual jihad wasn't a physical battle but rather a continuous striving for truth, reason, and understanding in the face of ignorance or rigid orthodoxy. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Hazim Takif bin Muhammad Sharif, and my metric number is 2316413. And right now I will continue our presentation in the subtopic which is the role of knowledge and education in intellectual jihad. So in Islamic thought, knowledge, or we know as al-ilm, and education are fundamental pillars, especially in the context of intellectual jihad. So intellectual jihad actually emphasize the use of knowledge and critical thought to combat ignorance, promote truth, and contribute to the betterment of society. So right now, let's see the role of knowledge and education in intellectual jihad. So the first one is the Quranic and prophetic emphasis on knowledge. So the Quran plays immense importance on the pursuit of knowledge. So the very first revelation, which is Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq, which is read in the name of your Lord who created. Surah Al-Alaq, verse 1. And this ayah highlight that education or knowledge is as a divine command and a lifelong endeavor. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also reinforced this by stating, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, from Ibn Majah. So we can see that this obligation extend beyond personal growth to societal development, making knowledge a key instrument in intellectual jihad. So that the first one. So the second one is knowledge as a means to overcome ignorance. So one of the primary objective of intellectual jihad is to counteract ignorance, which is counteract jahiliyah, which is viewed as a root cause of societal misguidance. And actually, education play a pivotal role or play important role in enlightening individual and communities, which is to enabling them to distinguish truth from falsehood and fostering justice and fairness. And by eradicating ignorance, intellectual jihad seeks to build a more informed and ethical society. And the Quran actually explicitly call all the believers to stand for justice in Surah Al-Alaq, في Surah An-Nisa, verse 135. So, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كونوا قوامين بالقسط شهداء لله ولو على أنفسكم. O you who have believed, be persistently standing firm in justice, witnesses for Allah, even if be against yourself. And we can see that Allah SWT said walau ala anfusikum, which is even though it be against yourself, meaning give correct testimony and say the truth when you are asked about anything, even if harm will affect you as a consequences. So we can see that education actually equips individual with the tool to uphold this principle and strive for a just world. So that's the second one, which is knowledge as a means to overcome ignorance. So we move to the last one, which is the third one, is about education as a tool for empowerment. So basically, this chapter has a two, which is the first one to individual empowerment, and second one is to community and advancement. So for individual empowerment, education enables individual to unlock their potential, understanding their right, and contribute meaningful to society. And for community advancement, a well-educated society is equipped to address social, economic, and ethical challenge, thereby fostering innovation and progress. So in Islamic context, education is not merely about acquiring information, but shaping about beautifying ethical, responsible, and compassionate individual. So we can see this show how important knowledge and education are gaining and building intellectual jihad in our life. Thank you. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So I would like to continue to in our next topic, which is Islamic scholar and their contribution to intellectual jihad. So the history of Islamic civilization is marked by a profound intellectual tradition that which is exemplify the concept of intellectual jihad. So Islamic scholar often refer to as or we call as ulama or hukama or sometimes maybe fuqaha, contribute significantly to various fields of knowledge. So their works were grounded in the Quranic and prophetic principles of seeking beneficial knowledge, or we known as al-ilm al-nafi', and they're using it to improve society, promote justice, and counter ignorance, especially in the future. So uh, I will uh, I will share to you. I will share about maybe three or four from Islamic scholar and their contribution to intellectual jihad. So the first one is Al-Farabi, and their field or their courses, which is famous in philosophy, political science, and ilmu mantiq, and his famous book is about Al-Madinah Al-Fadila. And Al-Farabi intellectual jihad lay in harmonizing reason with revelation and emphasizing rational thought to understanding divine truth, which is that's why Imam Al-Farabi known as good uh, is a good scholar in ilmu mantiq. So the second, that's the first one. So the second one is about is from Ibn Sina, or we can say it as Avicenna. So his field or his major course in medicine, philosophy, and science, but basically the famous one is about medicine, and the famous book or is named as Al-Qanun fi At-Tib, which is became a standard medical text in Europe and the Islamic world for century. And his intellectual jihad involved in advancing human understanding of natural world and integrating scientific and philosophical inquiry with Islamic principle. So the third one is from Islamic scholar is Imam Al-Ghazali, and his field is from theology, philosophy, and ilmu at-tasawwuf. So famous his book is about kitab Ihya Ulumuddin, which is this kitab which bridges Islamic spirituality with practical ethics. And Imam Ghazali intellectual jihad focus on renewing faith, renewing our iman, combating skepticism, and establishing harmony between reason, spirituality, and Islamic theology. So that's from Al Imam Al Ghazali, and the last one is Al Imam Al Khawarizmi. Al Khawarizmi. So Al Khawarizmi, known as the father of algebra, and Al Khawarizmi book, which is Kitab Al-Mukhtasar fil Hisab Al-Jabr wal Muqabala, which is this kitab is introduced algebra to the world. And Al-Khawarizmi also contributed to astronomy and geography, not only in mathematics. And he refined the using of the astrolabe and creating more accurate maps. And Al-Khawarizmi intellectual jihad lay in advancing scientific method and providing tools that revolutionary mathematics and science globally. Especially, we use it in the future, in the world right now. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name Muhammad Danish Hilmi bin Muhammad Haizam. My metric number 2312949. So today I would like to talk about the role of media and technology in modern intellectual jihad. First of all, spreading knowledge and awareness, which is media platform, which is scholar, intellectuals, and activists can exchange ideas, educate communities, and promote discourse on important issues through social media, blogs, podcasts, and online forums. Moreover, combating false information, which is verification and fast-checking. Intellectual jihadists support truth by detecting and disproving false narrative with the aid of digital tools and AI-driven platforms. Moreover, the last point is promoting ethical and moral values media. This point can highlight ethical teachings, universal human rights, and moral principles derived from faith and reason, encouraging unity and mutual respect among diverse groups.
So I will continue the second main point from me, which is the challenges of intellectual jihad in contemporary society. First of all, fake news and propaganda. The proliferation of misinformation amplified by social media challenges efforts to promote truth and critical thinking. Second point is fundamentalism versus secularization, which is cultural polarization. The conflict between strict traditionalism and secularization produce a polarizing environment that make it difficult to have a balanced intellectual conversation. So the last one is educational gaps. The general public lacks analytical skills as a result of education system inadequate emphasis on critical thinking. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Faiz bin Khairul Muhsin, and I'll be talking about impact of intellectual jihad on society and social justice. First of all, I would like to say, is intellectual jihad important? Yes. Yes, it is. It emphasizes the pursuit of knowledge as an act of worship and a tool for societal improvement. Not only that, but the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim. Sunan Ibn Majah. According to UNESCO, every additional year of schooling increases an individual's income by about 10%. 10% directly impacting their quality of life and reducing income disparities. Not only that, but by fostering intellectual empowerment, communities can address social issues more effectively, ensuring enable opportunities and improve socioeconomic outcomes. Now, moving on to the second point, which is advancing social reform. Basically, intellectual jihad provides the framework for analyzing societal challenges such as poverty, inequality, and discrimination. Why and how? By advocating for justice-based reforms, individuals will engage in this effort. Basically, when individuals and communities engage in intellectual jihad, they identify and rectify social injustice. Not only that, but they create a more inclusive and harmonious society. That's a very good thing for our society, because not only that, according to the Quran, Allah commands you to uphold justice and to do good. Surah An-Nahl, verse 90. Furthermore, the third point, which is highlighting the true social justice. One of the key focus of intellectual jihad is to establish justice, a fundamental Islamic value, by addressing corruption, systemic oppression, exploitation, and intellectual efforts ensure that the rights of all individuals are protected. Based on a stat, which is the Corruption Perceptions Index 2023, shows that countries emphasizing transparency and accountability rank higher in human developmental indices, with better education and healthcare and outcomes. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is intellectual jihad strengthens societal structures by aligning them with ethical and just principles, reducing the disparities and ensuring everyone benefits from shared resources. Lastly, the utmost importance in Islam basically is promoting spiritual and moral development. As we all know, intellectual jihad integrates spiritual growth with intellectual progress, basically ensuring that advancements are not solely materialistic but also rooted in ethical and moral values. As we all know, Islamic teachings emphasize the purification of the soul, tazkiyah, alongside the acquisition of knowledge and fostering balanced individuals who contribute positively to society. Based on studies in psychology reveal that individuals with strong moral and spiritual grounding report 25% higher levels of life satisfaction and community involvement. This is a good thing in our society. We need this in society. And intellectual jihad, it gets there. It effortlessly ensures that The holistic approach ensures this intellectual progress is aligned with the well-being of individuals and the broader community. Thank you.